This episode is brought to you by Blinkist.
I think the worst thing about the movie is hope. You're hoping it's going to be bad and crazy and have a lot of like weird story and lore, and then just like, no.
What's up, Wisecrack? Welcome to The Good, The Bad, and The Brilliant, the show where we break down the TV shows, video games, and movies that we're really excited about. Today we're talking about Sonic, a movie that gets into questions of technology, friendship, and how you can do a good job of holding your own mom hostage. I'm Michael, and today I'm joined by writer, comedian, and member of the Whitest Kids U Know, Sam Brown.
Hi.
Before we get any further, just a heads up, we are going to spoil this movie, so if you haven't seen it yet, go see it now and come back and pick up from there. Okay, let's get right into it. Sam, what did you think was good about Sonic?
I mean, it was in focus.
Very in focus throughout.
In focus movie.
Good aperture as well.
It tried to do some things.
Definitely tried.
It did this thing where halfway through the movie, you have these two characters on the road together, Sonic and the Donut Lord.
Yes, I think government name Tom.
But it's funny, it did this thing where Sonic had a bucket list.
Yeah.
And it threw that in. And I feel like at that point, it was like doing too much. But what I did like is there's this Hal Ashby movie called The Last Detail that I feel like the writer was at some point like, hey, we should make this The Last Detail.
Okay.
The Last Detail is this Jack Nicholson movie with Randy Quaid, where Randy Quaid is they're sailors and Randy Quaid's going to military prison and Jack Nicholson has to take him to military prison, and along the way he realizes this guy's 18. Let's show him a fun time before he goes to prison. And I think that's really what they were doing with Sonic, which was like, hey, let's do this Hal Ashby movie. I just don't think it really had a place there.
It did come out of nowhere. Interesting that Jack Nicholson was also in The Bucket List with Morgan Freeman. Maybe we just have some Nicholson heads making a movie.
Yeah, some big jack heads.
Yeah, big jack heads, just jacking all over it. But I think you're right there. The Bucket List stuff, in a microcosm, was interesting. It explored the stakes of this character who hadn't really had any experiences or experiences that involved other human beings.
Yeah.
And there was, of course, that sadness where occasionally they cut to Sonic's bucket list. And there's all the funny stuff, but then it's like, make a real friend.
It was a very weird bucket list, too.
Yes.
They were just like random concepts on his bucket list. It wasn't like go skydiving.
For me, the road trip element, interesting enough. We had some nice moments there. We explore the burgeoning friendship between Tom, Donut Lord, and Sonic. And I did enjoy the last third of the movie. Once we get to San Francisco, I found that to be the most enjoyable sequence. There were some good comedic moments with Tom's wife and his sister-in-law, played by Natasha Rothwell, very funny actor. Very funny kid that was in it. I don't think she got to speak, but she did give Sonic a pair of shoes and then tie up her mom and seem to feel nothing about it.
She was very okay with kidnapping her mom, which was pretty cool.
That was badass. I respected that. Her mom took it with a grain of salt, acknowledging that she had to piss her pants, and then seeing if her daughter would wear her Fitbit so she could at least get her steps in. And then visually, I think the final chase scene with Robotnik and Sonic as the rings take us to the 7 wonders of the world, or some of them, was visually interesting. I was worried that they were going to destroy a bunch of pyramids. They did destroy the Sphinx. I think. Was worried about
always, if you're going to destroy something in a movie and you're in Egypt, destroy the Sphinx. That's a comedic law.
Well, and talking about the comedy of the film, I'll say this. I don't know what the demographics of the theater you were in were like. Mine was probably 80% children, and they loved it. The kids were laughing a lot. There's the scene where Tom tells Sonic how to get to San Francisco, and he goes immediately to the Pacific Ocean and back, and comes back with like kelp and fish on his head. The kids were loving that, and then when he shakes himself dry and has puffy Sonic hair, children were just keeled over. So I'm happy that they were happy.
I thought the voice acting was fun. It was fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say James Marsden, while not only just consistently being one of the most handsome men in Hollywood for almost 30 years, did a good job considering all of his scenes were with no one, for acting with CGI throughout the whole film. And I don't know if they had a little Andy Serkis person on set with him, or if he was just speaking to air. He did as good of a job as you can hope to do in creating an emotional connection with a character is not there. While we're on good, because we still are in the realm of good,
Yeah.
I do think we could say that it was a successful video game to film adaptation. Just in terms of box office numbers alone, the film's done well, and there's a pretty rough history of turning a video game into a film.
Yes.
You know, we talked earlier off camera about the Mario film from back in the day.
Yeah.
Not exactly a success.
I know this is gonna sound a little strange, but I want you to meet my father.
You know what's funny is I actually thought that the whole mushroom world, I hate mushrooms, was kind of a knock at Mario, but then I found out that's actually a level from the Sonic games.
Oh, it is. Okay, we were talking about this the other day.
But maybe that
on
I
the movie
hate
podcast.
mushrooms is
Yeah.
Mario knock.
But it showed that it is possible to take a video game and a character without a lot of story, backstory, and necessary plot points and turn that into a film that people want to see, that'll make some money. And I think that's a good thing.
And what's crazy though about both these movies, Mario and Sonic, is that neither game was invented because of the story.
Yeah.
Neither game was, it's not like they're making like Grand Theft Auto here where they're basically writing a movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're like, hey, this plumber has to walk along bricks and get to a princess eventually. Every detail is just kind of randomly thrown in there. Same with Sonic, where it's like, I was a little annoyed that they didn't have computer screens anywhere in the movie. Like, I wanted to see him break a computer screen because that was such a big thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn the backstory of the computer screen. But like Sonic, it's just like it's random stuff. He ran through loops, whatever, you know, and like they were like, hey, let's figure out how to make a movie out of that.
I did like the opening sequence where we saw him run through loops on his home planet. I found that visually very interesting. I enjoyed that world. Not to get into another category of the show, but I maybe would have liked to stay in that world a bit longer, learn some more about what was happening there.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you could confidently put under the category of good for the Sonic movie?
I'll say this is like, it's always, and this will like dip into bad, but I think it's one of these things that like the X-Men movies figured out. A character that moves so fast, everything's in slow-mo.
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, always just kind of fun to watch.
I think it was interesting to see the bar fight sequence where Sonic is going so fast that the effect is that he is not even participating in time the way that we are.
Although I get annoyed when he's taking a selfie. It's like, well, the phone's going to work slower. The flash will work slower if you're going...
Yeah.
All this thing takes time.
Well, now you killed it for me. I love that sequence, and now the phone logic is broken down. But
that's the only small detail.
But that was a fun sequence, and I think, I'm still not sure if I think this is a good or a bad thing, but I'm going to throw it here. Jim Carrey's performance was something. It was something. He committed to an idea that he had. He did not waver in that commitment.
It bums me out, man. It like depresses me. I hate to like really rag on someone like this, but it like
he's not gonna watch this, so
it felt like he was like, the world needs another Mask. I need to do that Mask performance again.
Somebody stop me!
I don't think the world needed it myself.
I mean, the dance sequence especially was very much had Mask DNA. But I think we're veering too much.
I think,
into another category.
Another segment.
So we've said some things that are good about it.
Yeah.
And I think there's no more to say.
Can we stop talking about the good now?
Can we
please?
Stop? We will if you want us
It's really
to.
hard.
But before we get into the bad, I want to give a shout out to Blinkist. You probably clicked on this video because you wanted to dive a little deeper into the world of Sonic, and we're stoked to break it down for you. If you like Wisecrack videos, then you're bound to love Blinkist. It's an app that delivers the best insights and the most important information from nonfiction titles by breaking it down for you into digestible articles and audio files. You can read on the app or listen to the overview like a podcast. It's perfect for working out, commuting, or any other situation that might not be hands-free. Reading is something that can easily fall to the wayside when you're busy. But if you're anything like me, you won't let that deter you from learning more about the world. I always want to read about so many different topics, but don't have the time to sit with each topic very long. And that's why these 15-minute audio bites are perfect. Right now, I recommend The AI Economy, which is about how the latest technological advances will affect the current job market. By clicking the link in the description and downloading Blinkist, you can check out that and so many other titles. Everyone has access to a free 7-day trial, but the first 100 users to sign up will get 25% off. Download Blinkist today and start learning something new. And now, back to the show.
So we tried our hardest to talk about what was good about Sonic. Sam, now it's that time. We can open the floodgates and discuss what was bad about Sonic. So I'll let you knock this one out of the park.
It's so funny. There was like so much bad. It was like just seeping into the good segment.
We
Like,
couldn't
it
help
was like,
it.
Yeah, we couldn't help talking about it. I think the worst thing about the movie is hope. Is that like it opened up. It opened up with you're in Sonic's world, and you meet this character Longclaw. He introduces as, hey, this is like my Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're like, all right, great, cool, like. We're really gonna like build this world around Sonic. We're gonna see this world. We're gonna meet some Knuckles. Like, hey, fun. You're hoping it's gonna be bad and crazy and have a lot of like weird story and lore, and then just like no, and they kill Longclaw.
Just immediately.
Immediately.
Well, and with the Longclaw thing too, is someone who isn't super deep in knowledge of all the Sonic video games.
Yeah.
I'm assuming in my head, okay, this character means something that I'm not aware of. There's a backstory here. But I think you've done the research to confirm this. Longclaw is not a part of Sonic lore. It was a character created to exist for 30 seconds and be immediately murdered.
Yeah, immediately murdered. Called, hey, this is my Obi-Wan. You know, it's good movie making. Is you just tell the audience, hey, this is what this character is, but that's it, because they're just gonna die.
To compare Obi-Wan's death and Longclaw's, Obi-Wan knew more. Obi-Wan knew that the Force Ghost thing was coming, so he was good to disappear in front of Darth. But Longclaw, it seems like, got legitimately taken out.
Also, we spent like an hour with the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he sacrifices himself.
Longclaw was 20 seconds?
Yeah, Longclaw, it was like 20 seconds. It was literally like, hey, what's up, Sonic? You know, you probably shouldn't, be zipping around. Oh no, I'm dead.
Well, so let's just be real about it. Sonic got his mentor murdered.
Yeah.
Because Luke didn't get Obi-Wan murdered. Obi-Wan let loose somewhere and made a conscious decision. Longclaw presumably said, hey, Sonic, do me one solid. Don't go zipping around like an asshole drawing attention to yourself. He does just that, gets his mentor murdered, but I think he got her a flower.
He got her a flower. He got her murdered over a freaking flower. But like at the same time, you're murdering the hope of the audience that this movie's gonna be fun at all. That we're gonna like have this like magical fun world. No, they just go like, hey, toss the coin down, go to Earth.
Well, the bummer with all of this is visually, Sonic's home planet was one of the most interesting things we see in the film. Why did we have to leave so quickly?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we spend some time there, develop a little bit of backstory and stakes, such that when he has to emigrate to Montana, there's a little more stakes there. For me, at least, the stakes of the film boil down to friendship. What the emotional climax, I think, was a high five. Yeah. It was very flimsy. Very, very flimsy.
You learn so much about friendship. It's just so much. It's a lot of monologues about friendship, this movie. A lot of, like, touching moments about friendship. And then, so here's something that like, really struck me is, like, I'm watching the movie. Longclaw, one of the quotes in the 20 seconds is, Sonic, never stop running.
Yeah.
What's he running from? Why is Sonic hiding?
Well, who is he hiding from? What do they want with him?
Yeah. I mean, and don't be like, oh, this is for the sequel. Like, what?
Well, we're acting like he's Jason Bourne. Like he needs to keep running because Treadstone is on his tail and they need him for CIA operations. But Sonic's just like an alien that no one on Earth knows.
Yeah.
And until he does his sort of like, I'm sad that no one plays baseball with me, emotional electromagnetic burst, no one knows he exists. Robotnik isn't on his case. The government doesn't know about him. He basically snitches on himself.
Yeah.
Because he gets mad that he doesn't have baseball friends.
If he hung out, if he like hung out on Earth and had baseball friends, then there wouldn't be a movie.
It would just be like a cool kid in a small town who looks a little bit different that has baseball friends.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, it's a hedgehog. And you're like, really? I forget what a hedgehog looks like.
Well, because very quickly, everyone in that town completely accepts that he exists and is a part of their reality and is excited to fight for him.
Yes.
He picked the perfect place to be, which shows us we didn't need all of this conflict. He could have slowly emerged, met Donut Lord and the Misses.
Which I don't get that, too. Like Donut Lord and Pretzel Lady.
Yes, because of her yoga practice.
Yeah, yoga practice, yeah. And Donut Lord because he talks to donuts. But, like, also at the same time, he's hanging out he's stalking these people.
Yeah, he's intrusive.
He's talking to people. He knows their name.
He's a desexualized peeping Tom
Yeah.
by a certain metric.
He knows enough about names and about culture that he knows Keanu Reeves. He calls Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
He doesn't call him like Dog Avenger.
So he knows specifics about actors, but doesn't know the government names of the people he spends all day stalking. And as soon as we learn that Pretzel Lady's a veterinarian, at that point, I'm waiting for some accident with Sonic that only a veterinarian can solve.
Speaking of that, later on in the movie, they crash into a barn, and the farmer in the barn. The pretzel lady and donut lord crash into a barn. Immediately, the farmer's like, Tom, good you're here. My cow's pregnant. Why not ask the veterinarian? I think that's a little sexist.
It's very sexist, and we've already established in this town, people ask Tom for everything. He's one of two cops. Adam Pally, the other cop, not the most capable. So Tom is everything to everyone in this town, such that they ignore a veterinarian. Presumably, there's only one veterinarian in this town.
Yeah.
They ignore her.
And also, they apparently are doing very well because when they check Zillow, they're looking at an apartment that is $4,100 a month. Very clear on Zillow. The product placement was...
Wow. Wait, so you're saying...
we should have talked about the product placement in Good.
Yeah, well, maybe after this, we could go to the Olive Garden, get some breadsticks, go on Zillow. You can give me real estate advice.
Yeah, I love
so much.
The way that they worked in Olive Garden was so funny. Like,
Multiple times.
I've got two apps, or I've only got the apps on my phone that came with it, and Olive Garden.
And when the military general comes to thank them for their service and hands them a $50 Olive Garden gift card.
Yes.
But Tom, someone who's let us know Olive Garden is so important, it's the only non-pre-installed app he has on his phone, seems a little glib about it. Doesn't seem to appreciate it.
We have Uber Lyft joke. We have flossing.
Yes. It very much seems like they came up with a list of cultural touchstones and just forced them into the movie.
I think the real sin that this movie committed was that it wasn't bad enough that it was like fun bad.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't good. So it was just so like middle of the road. It bummed me out to try and have to think of like good things about this movie.
Yeah, because there's a version of this movie that commits to a certain level of camp or absurdity. And by leaning in that, it's just so bad that we would have had more fun in the theater.
Yeah.
It would have been the thing that years from now, you'd want to like get high and watch is a fun hang. I can't see myself ever wanting to go back and rewatch this movie. But here's the wild thing. It did really well. This movie made a bunch of money its first weekend out. I think it's still doing pretty well, which leads me to believe once again, it maybe wasn't made for us.
So yeah, no, it wasn't made for us. In a way, like it felt like a soulless Shrek.
Oh,
which is like it was like, hey, let's like try and get the parents to laugh at this a little.
But that's the point, right? All of these other, like a Shrek type movie, Pixar films, Toy Story, the thing they all have going for them is some level of emotional subtext that at least attempts to speak to something real in adult life, whether it's a social or emotional tension. And this movie doesn't have that. It literally stops at just friendship is good, friendship is special. There's no underlying themes there or deeper text. That's it.
There were so many moments, so many heart-to-hearts, so many like, I've got emotions, I'm Sonic, and friends.
Never develops past that.
Yeah,
he wants a friend, he needs a friend, he gets happy when he thinks Tom's his friend, he gets sad when Tom gets mad at him, and then he rises from the dead because of friendship.
Yeah.
He's lying there as a little pile of fur about to be annihilated by Robotnik, and Tom believing in him makes him rise up with a power he never knew he was capable of.
But what was the power? Like, that's the thing, is what was he running from? Mm-hmm. What was his power? Like,
Well, and the power was activated by isolation and loneliness in the first instance when he made his electromagnetic pulse. Then his power is magnified by friendship and inclusion. There's a lack of consistency in how he's doing this. Sam, I imagine that we could talk about how bad this movie is for quite some time. Sadly, I think we
didn't
need
even talk about Jim Carrey. We didn't talk about which was crazy.
Crazy. He made a choice. He did something.
Like half of Jim Carrey's performance felt like like there was no one else on set. Like they like scheduled it in a way where they're like, Jim Carrey is just like, you're gonna get me on my time, and we'll get whatever actors we can be to be in this.
It was totally distinct from the rest of the movie. It felt like it was taken from something different with a different director, with a totally different vibe and aim.
And then they were like, hey, just like mask it up. It felt like hell to me. Like that's what hell is like hanging out with that version of Jim Carrey for 2 hours.
And he was the worst type of person, like this shitty dude who's obsessed with science and thinks science makes him cool and is mad because a pretty cop punched him. And getting punched for home invasion, by the way, is now motivating him to carry out murder on a mass scale.
He's basically an incel. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we see.
This is like like a different version of Joker, is
like
Jim
Joker.
Carrey's
If
Robotnik.
Joker like went to a magnet high school with a STEM program and was able to focus his efforts into engineering and technology.
This is the movie we need, is Robotnik.
This is, it'll motivate anyone who feels alienated to use science
to
get vengeance.
Yeah, where Jim Carrey kills Robert De Niro with a robot at the end.
Okay, Sam, we've talked about what is good. We've talked quite a bit about what is bad. Before we get to the brilliant, we're going to do the lightning round. This is our chance to grill each other with some questions about the movie that can be both conceptual and personal. So get your materials ready.
Bring out my phone by Samsung.
Samsung, you say? I hear that with new Samsung technology, you're able to receive, I don't know anything about Samsung.
No, I've got apps on this.
What apps?
Denny's, Zillow.
Wow.
Like in the movie.
Yeah.
And Yahtzee.
Question, do you think Robotnik has ever
No.
No? Okay.
No.
There was a follow-up, but he's never made love in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, to a robot maybe.
Oh, that was my follow-up, but okay.
But that'd be like a version of masturbating, right? Like,
so he's never had an intercourse situation with another human.
Yeah, no.
All right, great.
No.
Have you ever been in a bar fight?
I had a friend who got punched in the face in a bar by a guy that does MMA, and he was like too drunk. My friend was too drunk, and the guy was trying to play pool. My friend was rolling around on the pool table. My friend deserved to get punched.
Yeah,
was the thing, and it was like one of these things where I just had to be like, all right, he's leaving. It's okay, he's leaving.
So you handled it in a more mature way than Sonic did. I appreciate that. Do we think that Tom's marriage to Pretzel Woman is going to last? There's obviously some tension in the relationship with the sister-in-law that they did tie up and leave for hours.
Yeah, it's weird that she has so many conversations about getting a divorce from him. Like, that's not a good sign.
No.
I don't think it lasts. I think she leaves him.
Yeah, great. Would you rather have Sonic's bag of rings or Dr. Robotnik's egg drones?
Sonic's bag of rings.
And where are you going with the rings?
Commuting.
Just commuting?
I'm going to use them up very quickly.
Just getting around town?
Just use them every year at Christmas when I got to go home. Like, gotta go home for Christmas to my mom's. Like,
and then when they're done, you're just like, sorry, Mom.
I'm like, hey, that was like, I loved skipping those 6-hour flights.
What's something that's on your bucket list that you've never done?
I've gone whale watching, but I've never seen a whale. Like, when I went whale watching, it didn't work. I'd love to actually do it to the point where I see an actual whale.
That's really nice. Now it's your turn.
All right, my turn.
What do you got?
All right, Sonic's catchphrase. It's gotta go fast.
Yes.
Your catchphrase is gotta go.
Oh, to the bathroom. I pee a lot.
What products do you wish Sonic sold aside from Olive Garden and
that's
Zillow?
Great. Oh, I think some good antidepressant product placement. I think a lot of his issues led from the psychological effects of social alienation. So whether it's like Lexapro or Wellbutrin or any of the other great products out there, I think this could have been a positive film about mental health. So we could have done that. And I would have I think the last thing, if Tom had a small bottle of like old granddad bourbon in his cop car, and we saw a few scenes where he took a bite of the donut, looked around, and chased it with that. So like old granddad, the official bourbon of sadness.
Tom should have vaped. He should have had a Juul. He should have
And then you could have taught Sonic lessons about like health and responsibility and things you get to do when you're older that you can't do when you're a kid.
Or Sonic tries to smoke at some point, and he was like, Sonic, don't smoke. Juul.
Wow.
I mean,
Sonic would love the flavors, though. Okay, well...
Are there fruit flavors? Oh, yeah, you bet there's fruit flavors. But I'm like a kid hedgehog. Oh, well, try this, kid.
I bet that was in there, and then the government made their new Juul rules where they can't have flavors for the kids anymore, and they had to take it out.
It's probably the real reason why they reanimated it.
Yeah.
If you could run in slow-mo, do the whole time slow down slow-mo thing, where would you run and what would you do?
Oh, wow. I think I'd want to go to a professional sporting event that was being live broadcast. Maybe an NBA game. Let's say a game between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
I would want to have a little fun with the players, tie some shoelaces together, maybe saw off part of the apparatus that holds the hoop up, so like on a dunk it falls down, switch people's drinks around.
Everyone's like, whoa, the dunk fell down and Giannis just broke his leg. The NBA is really taking a hit because of this.
What I'm saying is I would want to ruin basketball,
Oh, whoa.
wreak havoc. I don't know, I would want to push a level of the creation of chaos that goes right up against the line of causing damage and harm, but where everyone goes home that night and can get in their bed safely.
I would go to a Houston Astros game and figure out what pitch the pitcher was about to throw and then whisper it into the Houston Astros players' ears.
I don't know if you know this, but you would be the second person to do that.
A what?
Yeah.
Is this a thing?
Yeah, or spying. But I mean, the basic thing is you could spy. We don't really get into this. With those powers, you could spy on people.
Yeah.
I would love to spy. And I wouldn't like to spy on anything like high scale. I want to see what my friends do when no one's around. Do they sing to themselves? Do they talk to themselves? Do they cry when they're watching reruns of How I Met Your Mother or something? I just want to know the minutia of my friends' sad lives.
So you would be like a Sonic perv. Like one of those Sonic pervs, like Sonic was in that movie.
I would be a Sonic perv. Yeah. You know, we can cut to that edit. We can just have it be me saying, I'd be a perv. I'd be a perv. I'd be a perv.
Who's your best friend and why?
Oh, my best friend is a man named Philip or Felipe. He comes from the Sunshine State, great state of Florida. One of the only people I know who's a native Floridian. We're still good.
Do you think Philip's gonna see this?
No, he doesn't watch anything I do. I think
Okay.
he's the type. Here's why he's a good friend.
If you know Philip, email him this clip.
Yeah.
It might get awkward too. Philip might be like,
oh,
"You're
yeah.
a good friend of mine."
Well, and he goes, well, I don't know. He's a good friend, and there's those friendships where you can like actively dislike each other sometimes, but you still stay friends. He's currently involved in a very weird situation with this woman he met from Europe, and a lot of things are happening. I hope it goes well.
Definitely send this to Philip. People
Listen,
who know.
Philip, I want you to
Philip.
be happy. That's all I know.
But you're also willing to talk about his love life on YouTube?
Because he won't watch this. He doesn't get. He does go on
might.
YouTube sometimes.
He
though.
might.
He does. My best friend is
yeah,
my,
who's your best friend now?
My best friend's
Now that Philip is done with you.
my fiance is my best friend.
You didn't start with your
wanna
fiance?
Well, okay.
Obviously.
I don't know. I think there's a difference. She's not my best friend.
No,
I think she's
hey, ask
one
me
of
who
my best friends.
is.
It's
ask
a
me who my
different-
best friend
who's
is.
your best friend?
My fiance. See?
Okay, can we run this back?
No.
My fiance is my best friend. I want to give her high fives and go on walks.
You're in the doghouse.
Now that Sam has ruined probably both my professional and personal lives at every level, we only have one more thing to do, and that is to talk about, and this will be a real stretch, what is brilliant about this film. The one thing I could come up with, and this is in tandem with my colleague Jared, we talked about this on our film podcast the other day, the idea that the movie explores the tension between technology and humanity.
Yeah.
That we have Robotnik, this character who wants to automate everything in his life. He doesn't trust humans. He likes his robots and his machines. He's been alienated from other humans, punched in the face. On the other side, we have Sonic, who's not human, and he has this magical power, but all he wants is basic human connection.
Yeah.
And I think that, not to give it too much credit, but I think that does get at something we're experiencing as a society right now.
Totally. Is that where does humanity lie? Like, is it in the interactions we have with people, and how does the technology interfere with that?
100%. I talked to some tech bro the other day at a wedding. I forget what he does or his name. He will not watch this. But he was discussing how, you have the Silicon Valley culture where everything is about automating everything we have, turning everything into something that computers and algorithms could take care of, well, where is the room for reading books or telling jokes or writing poems or music, all these things that only humans can do? And I think we see that in the film, whereas there's certain stuff you can't automate friendship or love or a feeling of something that's especially human.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you think of our brains as machines, one of the like amazing things is that they're these imperfect machines, and through that, like those, because we have these two sides of our brains that operate in different ways, and sometimes it can interfere with, there's like this incongruity to how we process things, and it's that incongruity that kind of makes art, and it's that art that is about like connecting with each other and kind of dissecting what we experience.
Yeah.
And that Sonic is that character just trying to experience.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to do.
Well, there's an idea you get in some branches of like philosophy and psychology that what makes us uniquely human in some ways is our capacity for things like anxiety and depression and stress and loss, all these superhuman emotions that come from the fact that we like desire things. Animals can get a little freaked out, but I imagine any pets that anyone has at home are not currently longing for a love that once was, or feeling like they don't have friends to connect with on a Saturday night. Maybe they want their owner to come back because they think when the owner's not there, they're going to starve to death.
Yeah.
But we do have those capacities, and they make us uniquely human. And I think in Robotnik's character, we see the dark side of what happens when you try to eliminate those particularly human things. Is there anything else we could think of along these lines?
My original answer was just that it's pretty. No. It was definitely fascinating how earlier I was talking about how it's similar to this movie, The Last Detail, that Hal Ashby made. That's very much about these characters exploring experience and just that. And I thought it was interesting for a movie that tried to like be very clear about, it's like, here's where we're going. Here you're running from this and you're heading here to achieve this, and it's got all its goals. It really pushed this idea of like, well, like let's like the true conflict is the character exploring himself. And I think it wasn't perfect in achieving that, but I think I appreciate that it took that swing and that it tried to really tell the story. Like, the story isn't Robotnik. The story is Sonic and himself. I'm
impressed that we found some brilliant things to talk about in this movie. But I totally agree with you. I think focusing that conflict in Sonic's character, it does work when we really focus in on that. And there's something there. And I would say I have a bit of, maybe not confidence, but faith that if they focus on the right stuff, the next Sonic movie, which it seems like they're definitely making, could maybe be a little bit better. I think probably the problem is not that they focused on that stuff, but I think that the goals and like the logic and the kind of like what are we running from was so flawed. It kind of put too much pressure on that stuff. And so like I feel like the writer just had to throw in too many like, hey, friendship's important monologues in the middle of this movie. It is, though, friendship's very important. True. And that should be a main takeaway from all of this. Even in the movie, it was about his wife being his best friend. So. But now we got to do the hardest part, maybe the easiest part of this whole show, which is we have to rate the thing. Okay. And we got to first come up with our metric for rating this film. We'll go 1 to 5, but we need 5 objects that will quantify our feelings on this movie. So any ideas? Bread bowls? Bread bowls? Olive Garden bread bowls? Do they have those? Yeah, they talk about them in the movie. Oh, wow. He says they've got good bread bowls when he gets the gift certificate. Honestly, if we're going to really honor the spirit of this film, we should use a product placement for this. Yeah. Unless for some reason that means we're going to get in trouble. So let's rate Sonic on a scale of 1 to 5 bread bowls. Olive Garden bread bowls. Olive Garden bread bowls. 1 to 5. 1 being you're almost out of that delicious minestrone. There's nothing there. 5, overflowing with flavor. You can't wait to come back. Okay. So what do you rate Sonic on the 1 to 5 Olive Garden bread bowl scale? I would go 1.5 bread bowl. Okay. That half bread bowl has
Ben Schwartz and Adam Pally in it.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit higher than you. I'm going to give it 2 Olive Garden bread bowls.
Fair.
I think there was some fun elements sprinkled throughout. I think there's potential that moving forward, they can do some interesting things with the story. And I think, once again, I'm giving it probably that extra half because it made a bunch of kids happy. That's fun.
I'm sure.
I'm good for them. I think if I was a kid and I loved playing Sonic games, I would get a kick out of that as well.
I think probably a problem with me was I was like, ooh, this movie's going to be bad. Like, I was like really like, ooh, this movie's going to be bad. And then right before I saw it, someone was like, it was pretty good. And I think that just ruined it for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe this will be good. No.
Sam, we've done it all. Talked about the good, the bad, the brilliant. We've talked about the Olive Garden. We've destroyed lives along the way. So before we go, where can people find you online if they want more Sam Brown in their lives?
Can follow me on Twitter at SamBrown42069. Just random numbers. On Instagram at ThatSamBrown. I post about shows I'm doing on both of those. And if you're interested and you're in the LA area and want to learn some sketch comedy, I teach sketch comedy classes at the Pack Theater. So look that up on the web.
That's awesome. Do it if you're in LA. Do it if you have to travel 6,000 miles to be here. Just make it work.
Yeah, use a Sonic ring.
There you go. Well, Sam, thank you so much for being here. It's been a really good time. And thank you, as always, for watching. We've enjoyed having you here as well. This has been The Good, the Bad, and the Brilliant. Please let us know in the comments what you think, and especially let us know about any properties you'd love to see us cover in the future. Thanks, as always, for watching, and we will see you next time. Later.